slipped beneath the radar horizon, racing toward one of the most dangerous targets of the war, a newly deployed Russian Iskander-M ballistic missile battery. Tokmak had become a flashpoint in recent weeks. Russian forces, bolstered by elite Spetsnaz units and long-range missile assets, had fortified the area with layered air defenses and mobile launchers. Intelligence intercepted just 2 days prior suggested that two Iskander-M transporter erector launchers and their command vehicles had arrived under cover of darkness and were now operational, capable of striking major Ukrainian cities within minutes. Ukraine's window to respond was narrow. Waiting too long would risk devastating attacks on civilian and military infrastructure. Striking too soon, however, meant confronting Russia's feared integrated air defense network, including S-300 PMU systems, Panzer-S, one-gun missile units, and Nebo SVU radars, capable of detecting even stealthier aircraft at range. But Ukraine had a new asset in play, the F-16 Fighting Falcon, part of a recent European transfer. Modified for low-altitude precision strikes and outfitted with GBU-39 small-diameter bombs, the jets were supported by real-time intel from Bayraktar TB2 drones and U.S.-provided EW support. This mission marked their first combat operation in the Zaporizhzhia sector. With sunrise still an hour away and thick humidity clinging to the steppe, the stage was set. The F-16 second were flying just 150 feet above ground level, using terrain masking to avoid Russian radar. Their objective was clear: neutralize the Iskander threat before it could launch and get out alive. The area surrounding Tokmak wasn't just protected, it was fortified like a digital fortress. Russia had turned this sector into a multi-layered air defense zone, built to counter everything from drones to cruise missiles and fast-moving jets. At the heart of the network were S-300 PMU surface-to-air missile systems, designed to engage targets up to 90 miles away. These were flanked by Panzer-S-1 hybrid gun missile platforms, capable of firing at short notice, and backed by the Nebo SVU radar, an L-band array specifically optimized to detect low-observable, stealth targets. Over the past several days, Ukraine had attempted multiple drone reconnaissance missions over the Tokmak region. Each one ended the same way. The drones were swiftly intercepted. Not a single UAV returned with useful imagery. In the fog of war, Tokmak had become a dead zone for anything airborne. Russia believed this layered air defense strategy had made the area impenetrable to manned aircraft. From their perspective, unmanned systems might try to test the airspace, but no pilot would risk flying into a zone crawling with tracking radars, infrared seekers, and automated missile launchers. The logic was clear. Any Ukrainian aircraft entering this bubble would be detected, tracked, and destroyed long before it could reach its target. And for a time, that logic held. No Ukrainian aircraft had crossed that line until now. What the Russians hadn't accounted for was a shift in tactics. Ukraine wasn't sending in drones this time. They were sending in F-16s second, flying low and fast, backed by electronic warfare support and terrain-hugging flight paths that exploited every blind spot in the Russian defense web. The dead zone was about to come alive. To breach what Russia believed was an impenetrable air defense bubble, Ukraine had to rethink everything: altitude, timing, coordination, and even silence. Just before 3:40 a.m., a pair of F-16 Fighting Falcons lifted off from Starokostiantyniv Air Base, flying dark and low. For the first 70 miles, the jets stayed below 150 feet above ground level, hugging the terrain to stay under Russian radar coverage. Flying that low, at over 500 miles per hour, meant every hill and tree line had to be treated like a missile. Their approach wasn't just about flying under the radar, it was about blinding it entirely. Roughly 15 minutes before the strike, an EA-18-gram Growler, temporarily loaned to Ukraine by the U.S. under a classified program, entered the battle space from a higher altitude. Its powerful ALQ-249 next-generation jammer swept across the S-band and X-band frequencies, which Russia's Nebo SVU and Panzer-S-1 relied on for target acquisition and fire control. The Growler didn't fire a single missile, but it didn't have to. Its job was to create chaos in the ether to scramble sensors just long enough for the Falcons to get in and get out. Each F-16 carried two GBU 39 small-diameter bombs, 250-pound GPS-guided munitions, with a standoff range of nearly 40 miles and the ability to punch through light armor or bunker roofs. Small enough to evade radar and precise enough to hit within 3 feet of a target, these bombs were ideal for disabling high-value assets like Iskander-M launchers and control vehicles. This wasn't a blunt force strike. It was a surgical hit to aircraft, flying in total radio silence, under cover of terrain and electronic noise, aiming to drive a $40,000 weapon into the heart of a $100 million defense zone. The entire plan hinged on a sliver of time, 40 seconds of chaos inside Russia's integrated air defense grid. As the EA-18 Growler unleashed waves of directed jamming across key Russian radar frequencies, the Nebo SVU began to blink and stutter. Fire control links between radar and missile systems were flooded with digital noise, confusing range gates and locking mechanisms. For those crucial 40 seconds, Russia's electronic eyes were blind, and Ukraine's F-16s made their move. At precisely 5 hours 22 minutes and 49 seconds AM, the lead F-16 pulled up sharply, climbing from 150 feet to just under 4,000 feet in under 10 seconds. From that altitude, the pilot had a clear GPS lock on the designated targets: an Iskander-M transporter erector launcher and its mobile command post, parked in a clearing roughly 8 miles west of Tokmak. At the same moment, the second jet maintained a lower altitude, flying interference and scanning for possible launch flashes from Russian short-range defenses. Russia's Panzer S-1 units, normally fast-reacting, struggled to respond. The jamming confused their acquisition radars, and the brief altitude change by the F-16 placed it in a gray zone, too high for close-range tracking, too low and fast for long-range interceptors to lock on in time. 2 GBU-39 SDBs were released in rapid succession. Each bomb, using its deployable wings and inertial navigation system, glided silently toward its mark. 14 seconds later, the first impact lit up the dawn sky. The warhead punched through the thin armor of the TEL, igniting its onboard fuel and triggering a secondary explosion. The second bomb struck the command vehicle dead center, obliterating it in a flash of overpressure and shrapnel. By the time Russian radars recovered, the F-16's were already dropping back to nap of the Earth altitude, fading into the haze of the STEP mission complete, defenses breached, and a billion-ruble system reduced to burning wreckage. The instant the GBU-39 hit their targets, the F-16 pilots didn't wait to confirm. Battle doctrine was clear: drop, flare, and vanish. Within seconds of weapons release, both F-16AMs banked sharply west, descending back to under 200 feet AGL to evade retaliation. Anticipating shoulder-fired man-pads from hidden Russian infantry units, they deployed infrared flares and activated their onboard electronic countermeasure, ECM, pods, which emitted false signals to confuse missile seekers. Every movement was rehearsed, every second was calculated. Meanwhile, circling 18,000 feet above the target area, a Bayraktar TB-2 drone observed the entire strike from a safe altitude, relaying live thermal and visual feeds back to command in real time. The drone's MX-15D multispectral targeting system captured the dual impact burst, the fireball from the destroyed Iskander TEL, and moments later the vaporization of the mobile command unit. As smoke rose from the site, the TB-2's mission was far from over. Exactly 4 minutes after the bombs hit, a follow-up strike commenced. From over 40 miles away, a Ukrainian M142 HIMARS battery launched 3 GMLRS rockets, pre-programmed to hit remaining radar arrays and ammunition trailers adjacent to the initial targets. With Russian defenses still disoriented from the F-16 raid and jamming interference, the HIMARS strike faced no interception. The rockets impacted with precision detonating fuel tanks, disabling a mobile radar trailer, and scattering surviving personnel. Within 6 minutes, a combined air-ground operation had dismantled a strategic missile deployment zone that took Russia weeks to set up. By the time Russian command realized what had happened, the F-16 were already back over friendly airspace, the TB-2 was headed home with full footage, and the HIMARS crew had already reloaded, ready to strike again if called. The coordinated strike left more than just craters. It dismantled an entire operational missile unit in less than 10 minutes. The Iskander-M battery, comprising 2 launchers, 1 mobile command vehicle, and a field missile resupply trailer, was reduced to smoldering wreckage. Satellite imagery taken just hours later confirmed the destruction. Blackened soil, warped metal frames, and fuel-soaked debris scattered across a 300-foot blast radius. According to intercepted Russian military communications and local ground reports, 5 Russian personnel were killed in the strike, including 2 technicians inside the command vehicle. 3 others were wounded, 1 critically, with burns and shrapnel injuries. No survivors remained at the immediate impact point. But the physical damage told only half the story. The real blow came in the aftermath. Within 24 hours, the entire Iskander missile detachment in the Tokmak sector was ordered to withdraw. Russian command deemed the area too exposed and too compromised to continue operations. Even units stationed miles away were pulled back to secondary positions north of Melitopol. It was a forced retreat, not out of tactical repositioning, but out of sheer vulnerability. The psychological impact was equally severe. Russia had relied on the perceived invincibility of its layered air defenses to shield high-value assets like the Iskander. Yet here, a pair of legacy F-16s second, backed by 1 drone and a HIMARS battery, had dismantled a strategic missile node in broad daylight and escaped unscathed. For Ukraine, the mission was a tactical win, a morale boost, and a proof of concept. For Russia, it was a wake-up call. No asset, no matter how deep behind the lines or well defended, was truly safe anymore. The front had shifted not just on the ground, but in the air and in the mind. Russia's battlefield doctrine in Tokmak was built on one assumption: that layered air defenses, advanced radar, and long-range missiles could carve out a no-fly zone of their own, an invisible dome of destruction where no aircraft, drone, or guided munition could survive entry. They believed that this combination of S-300 batteries, Pantsir interceptors, and Nevo SVU radars would be enough to lock down the skies. In their view, only stealth jets or hypersonic missiles had any hope of breaking through, and Ukraine had neither. So when F-16 second entered the picture, Russia dismissed them. No stealth coating, no supercruise, just 4th-generation fighters from the 1982nd. In Moscow's eyes, they were outdated. But it wasn't the jet that mattered, it was how it was used. Ukraine flipped the script by flying low, beneath radar beams, and coordinating electronic warfare to blind tracking systems at the exact moment of strike. They didn't need stealth. They created it through timing, terrain, and disruption. The GBU-39 bombs, though small, were precise enough to cripple strategic systems without brute force. In a sense, the F-16 became invisible not to radar, but to expectations. The attack exposed a critical flaw in Russia's strategy, a failure to anticipate asymmetry. Their air defense was designed for big threats coming from high altitudes. It wasn't built to handle legacy jets used like scalpel blades, aided by networked drones and jammers that rewrote the rules in real time. In a war where adaptation beats armor and software outmaneuvers steel, Ukraine showed that invisibility isn't always about the jet, it's about the mindset flying it. And in that moment over Tokmak, it was Russia, not the aircraft, that failed to see the threat coming. In a war dominated by drones, satellite targeting, and AI-guided systems, it wasn't some stealth bomber or next-gen marvel that broke Russia's layered defense in Tokmak. It was a 40-year-old F-16, 250-pound smart bombs, and a team willing to think outside the playbook. The mission didn't just eliminate a missile threat. It shattered a belief that only high-end, bleeding-edge tech can breach billion-dollar defense grids. Russia's multi-tiered air defense, worth over $500 million, collapsed in minutes, not because it was weak, but because it was predictable. What Ukraine proved is that human pilots, when paired with real-time intelligence, electronic warfare, and precision munitions, remain a force to be reckoned with. The F-16 was never meant to go toe-to-toe with S-300 second or Dodge Pantsir barrages. But by flying low, striking fast, and thinking asymmetrically, it didn't just survive, it redefined air superiority. This wasn't a dogfight. It wasn't a missile duel. It was a contest of thinking of using terrain as cover, jamming as a shield, and timing as a weapon. And in that arena, the F-16 didn't just hold its own, it won. As warfare evolves, it's not about having the shiniest jet. It's about how you use what you